Thank you for being here with us for the second half hour of Local 3 News at 4. I'm Cindy Sexton, joined by Hamilton County Mayor Weston Wamp, who is here to talk about recent changes made for the county, and we're talking budget and all sorts of other things, but we're so glad you're here with us. The budget still needs a final vote and doesn't include a tax increase. Let's talk about that. A lot of folks were happy to hear that.
Yeah, well, and it's a time of a lot of confusion because you've got reappraisals, and reappraisals this year were staggering.
Yes.
People's property values went up. And in Tennessee, what happens to offset that is that we'll get the final property tax rate from the state in the next couple weeks. And so what we wanted to be clear about is even though you may have seen a staggering increase in the value of your property, you should not see an increase overall. The average county property taxpayer will not see an increase in their property tax bill based on our proposed budget, which now goes to the county commission for their deliberation and ultimately a vote in about a month. And this is kind of the Super Bowl in local government. We don't know how much the folks in the community are paying attention, but it's certainly when our world gets very intense, and there's a lot of disappointment and excitement as things get funded and some programs inevitably don't.
Yes.
But it is ultimately really an important process because it's a statement of our values collectively as a community. And those of us in government work really hard, including a whole lot of people who've been there before, people like me who were elected in and will be there after us, put a lot of work into the process that sets these priorities for our community.
So you keep an eye on it for us, and we'll follow you on that. And within the next month or so, hoping for that to be approved by the commission. All right. Also, we're talking about roads. Many roads and the condition of the roads in Hamilton County, a big concern. Tell us about your priority with this historic new road investment.
Well, I grew up in the city of Chattanooga, to be fair, and live on Signal Mountain now. And one of the challenges in our county is that where most of the growth has been over the last, certainly the fastest paced growth has been out in Ottawa, Middle Valley, Appleton. They're unincorporated parts of the county where the county has really had to adjust to be more of a suburban and in some cases even urban form of government where traditionally, over most of the past 50 years, life is a little slower out in the county. There's been a ton of development and we've not really made roads investment commensurate with that. And people see a ton of traffic as a result. And we've got some road safety issues that we're increasingly sensitive to. So we've now outlined over the last year $19.4 million in road safety improvements and traffic reduction improvements. These projects take a long time. They're really frustrating. They take longer in some cases than building a school. You wouldn't think that a roundabout might take longer than a school, but there's complexities and usually intergovernmental cooperation that needs to take place to get some of these projects going. But we've really prioritized it. The county's done a great job of paving and keeping up the roads we have over the years, but we've fallen short in some major capital improvements, these safety type upgrades.
Are we talking about Snow Hill, that area? Is that the priority?
We've done safety audits on Snow Hill and Hunter. In fact, some of the largest projects we have planned are intersection improvements where we've identified real problems in those thoroughfares. One that's a major improvement that we've prioritized is right there at Hunter Middle School and Wallace A. Smith. You're going to see a complete transformation of that intersection. We announced another one over, actually really right on some Hollander family property in Appleton where this was farmland for most of the county's history. It's now very populated suburban communities, and we really need to honor that growth.
Well, a lot of folks are keeping an eye on that, and you've heard a lot of very vocal people in those areas.
For sure.
Want to talk about what President Trump brought to mind, and that's Doge, a word we had never heard before, January or so. Now you're talking about Doge for Hamilton County.
Well, what we did is we tried to set in motion some very intentional processes that would consider areas for efficiency and savings that maybe the county hadn't looked at in a while. Doge at a federal level, got into some executive challenging norms and obviously a lot of Supreme Court rulings or judicial rulings will follow. County government, local government is much simpler.
And so what we've done
here is we've renegotiated cleaning contracts and we've reprioritized the way that the county handles our fleet and cell phones, and we've reduced the number of desktop printers dramatically. And we spent 4 months working at it, never taken for granted any single area of county government where there might not be some savings to be found. And then we even looked at some efficiencies through the elimination of positions that are vacant. We didn't feel like the process necessitated layoffs, and so we avoided layoffs, but found a lot of efficiencies and identified upfront $3.7 million in savings. And I think what was most exciting to me is that it was a very collaborative process. A lot of folks who've worked in county government for decades got excited about it. They were sending in their ideas from from various departments, specifically in medical grade gases. I really loved an example. We had a supply manager in county EMS who identified that through rebidding a type of medical grade gas, we saved $233,000 a year. And so this is, I would say this is the Doge that everybody can agree on. I might describe it that way, because in local government, this is where the rubber meets the road, and we're proud of the way that we've stewarded the tax dollars.
We don't want to run out of time, but I know you want to talk about adding a person to the Veterans Office. What's that going to be, and what will it mean?
Well, y'all were talking about Memorial Day weekend a minute ago. At a time of relative peace for our country, it's easy to take for granted that freedom's not free, and people have served our country valiantly generation after generation. We've got aging Vietnam veterans who have increasing needs, and the county has a responsibility under state law to provide a veteran service office. It was understaffed when I was elected, and we've now expanded it from one veteran service officer, 2 employees total, to 3 veteran service officers. And so we've tripled the bandwidth of people in county government who are working directly with our veteran community, spouses of veterans, other family members, helping collect benefits that have been earned and hard-earned. And it's interesting, one of the things that happens, not only are we doing the right thing for veterans and their families in our community, a byproduct is that we are bringing in millions and millions of dollars into our community that have been earned by these veterans, but they've needed help navigating what can be a complex bureaucracy in Washington to get their benefits, and it's something that we're really proud of.
A lot of people probably don't even know that Hamilton County is part of the whole process, so that's good to know. Hate to cut you off now, but it's time for you to go on vacation.
That's true.
Right?
Well, my kids are getting out of school, and I tell my kids, listen, I may have an unusual job, but we will still do beach vacation when you guys get out of school.
All right. Nice reward for that.
Cindy.
Thank you so much for being here with us, Mayor Wamp.